Why is curly hair the weakest out of all textures? It's not true, but where did the myth come from? How did it start? In this video, I'm gonna answer that question for you and exactly how you can start repairing your hair shaft from the inside out. So if you wanna fix it and if you wanna learn why your hair is not the weakest and why they've been saying that, then make sure you keep watching. Around to the end of this video, I have something special for you. The first question that we need to answer before we get into anything is, what is hair actually made of? That's the easy answer. Get your pen and paper out and get ready to screenshot. Your hair is made up of a protein called keratin, and within this hair strand there are 3 bonds holding the hair shaft together, okay? And these are bonds we talk about all the time, so this is a refresher, but you need this information to get to the end. You know what I'm saying? Or you're gonna be confused. That's why y'all supposed to take notes when you watching my videos. Salt bond, the hydrogen bond, and the disulfide bond, right? So when we are talking about curly hair being weakest, I need you to remember that there are only two things that determine your natural curl pattern. That is the size of the follicle and the amount of sulfur to sulfur linkages you have within the hair shaft. For a more detailed video, again, link in the description box below. Go watch these videos. Now y'all can see why I've been saying all this stuff. I haven't been pulling it out of my butt. Okay, the reason that people say that curly hair is the weakest hair and it's the most fragile, something that most people and most scientists took out of context. It's not that curly hair is the weakest. Curly hair just has more to lose. Let's talk about the disulfide bond. Disulfide bond is another way to say 2 sulfur bonds, right? So the more sulfur to sulfur linkages you have in your hair, the curlier your hair is. The more disulfide bonds, sulfur to sulfur linkages you have within the hair shaft, the curlier the hair is, right? So it's not that curly hair is weakest, curly hair just has more to lose. If there are more linkages, right, that means it's more people in the family, right? That means that if you a person who got like 2 siblings, I mean, it's just y'all. Like, who really breaking y'all up? If it's just you and your sister and then your mama and your daddy and that's it, and it ain't nobody else, like, who is there drama for, right? The foundation only gotta be so solid. It's just y'all. But if there are like hundreds and thousands of y'all, or not thousands, but if there are hundreds and hundreds of people, then of course the overall foundation has to be stronger because there are more people to hold together, right? So the foundations and the routines have to be stronger. The same exact thing goes for your hair. The more linkages you have, the more intense and the more repetitive and the more routine your routine needs to be. These three bonds affect the hair shaft in a lot of different ways that we don't really acknowledge. The first one is the salt bond. The salt bond is the bond within the hair shaft that is weakened by highly acidic products. And a lot of the products that are highly acidic are the products that we make at home ourselves. I know for me, when I first started making products, you know, even to sell to my clients, it's imperative that you learn how to balance the natural pH, right? And get that acidity level balanced. And a lot of times in the products that we have, the longer they sit, the higher it goes up in acidity and different things of that nature. Or just trying too many products, right? Because if you're using multiple products from different product lines, one may be an alkaline based product line, one may be really highly acidic, and so with you putting all of these different products together, you end up breaking the salt bond in the hair because all of these different products with all of these different formulations are doing different things to the salt bond within the hair. Whatever the shampoo does, most likely, not most likely, it's the chemist's job to make sure that the conditioner is able to balance out the pH and undo or repair anything that the shampoo could have done or anything from before that, and preparing your hair for styling, which leads us to number 2, the hydrogen bond. All right, now the hydrogen bond in the hair is something that's being broke by naturals all over the world, Craig, not just the city, the world. You understand? The hydrogen bond is the bond within the hair shaft that is temporarily broken by water, right? It's temporarily broken by water. And when we are breaking the hydrogen bond over and over again, remember, it's a myth that the hair shaft is dead. That's in the video coming really soon. But when you open the hair shaft repeatedly, you give yourself a form of hydro fatigue. And hydro fatigue is not something that we're pressed about for the hair shaft. Hydro fatigue is something that happens within the hair follicle. So the things that you do to your hair shaft directly affect the follicle. All right, don't ever let anybody tell you different. Leave me some comments below if you want a video, a deep video going deep into hydro fatigue and how to fix it. Let me know in the comments. And our wash and goes, you're forcing the cuticle to open and close over and over again, never letting it close properly, amongst quite a few other things, right? And then us doing our wash and goes and things of that nature, and the layering method and all of these different things, not layering method, lock method, it just forces the cuticle to remain open all the time. The hydrogen bond is not supposed to be broken for long periods of time. The hydrogen bond should only be broken momentarily while you are giving the hair direction. So the third bond is the disulfide bond. The disulfide bond is the bond that most people are familiar with, right? This is the bond that we know we break with chemicals, and this is the bond that is permanently broken, right? Now, if you break the salt bond too drastically or the hydrogen bond too drastically, remember, all three of these bonds are working together. All three bonds are linked together. If two of them break, the one that's standing alone is gonna get weak and break as well. So if the salt bond is constantly broken by highly acidic products, and then if by highly acidic products all the time, and then the hydrogen bond is broken from you constantly wearing your hair wet or locking, you know, doing the lock method and putting all these layers of products on your hair, then the disulfide bond is broken, and this is where those sulfur to sulfur linkages are. And this is when you see what looks like heat damage with people who don't actually have heat damage. Naturals will say, oh my God, I've been natural for 3 years and I never put no heat on my hair, but you've been breaking the salt bond and you've been breaking the hydrogen bond repeatedly. And then you go in to get a flat iron, and with the flat iron, if the cosmetologist does her job properly, we are trained at knowing how to protect the disulfide bond in the hair, unless we're trying to break it apart, right? So then when you go in there and you don't know what you're doing, or you've been breaking the salt bond and the hydrogen bond with the practices we talked about, then the second that you put heat on your hair, color on your hair, or anything like that, your hair is gonna fall out drastically. And that's when why you see all of these women, right? They're like, oh my God, I have heat damage, heat damage, heat damage, heat damage, heat damage. Because I want us to be real. Like, before the natural thing started, like, let's go draw back, because it's been about 12 years now, 13 years now, right? So if we rewind back 13 years ago, our mamas and grandmas and everybody was getting full, like, flat irons, silk presses with a pressing comb and Marcel irons every 2 weeks, and their curls was coming right back. So what is this thing that we're doing now that they were not doing before? I think you guys can answer that question on your own, right? So this is where the whole saying of black hair is weaker comes from, right? Because just think of all of the things that we do to weaken the salt bond, to weaken the hydrogen bond, and to weaken the disulfide bond. Ask yourself these questions, and remember, as it pertains to the disulfide bond, I haven't even begun to talk about the things that you can do to damage it with, you know, chemicals. So far, a lot of the damage of the disulfide bond is coming long before you ever touch a flat iron. Remember, the salt bond, the hydrogen bond, and the disulfide bond are all holding each other together. So if one of them weaken, all three of them weaken. That's how it goes, right? So moving along, what are the different ways that you can actually change the disulfide bond, the curl pattern? Well, there are two different forms. One form is something that you do on purpose, that you do controlled, if you're trained professionally on how to do it. And then there's another way that you do it when you do it by mistake, when you messed up, when you don't know what you're doing, when you playing in your heart, okay? Because you then went to YouTube University. The proper way, you know, to change the bonds around are relaxers, which is if you have curly hair going straight, and then a perm is for somebody who has naturally straight hair that wants to go curly. Then we have Japanese straightening systems. It's like your hair already straight, but you want it even straighter. The Japanese is basically the same thing. They all the same chemical. Link in the description box below to the video where I break down the scientific difference between all of those. Okay? Okay. Heat training, all right? Heat training is another way to change around the disulfide bonds and the bond structure in the hair shaft. And you can do it safely. The same way somebody has extremely healthy relaxed hair, somebody can have extremely healthy heat trained hair if they break apart those bonds properly, right? But then the negative part of it comes from you doing too much. So you can really negatively affect the disulfide bonds, which causes your hair to fall out completely, right? If your hair falls out, that means that there's nothing holding it together. All three of these bonds have completely split apart and your hair is like Soldier Boy in them. Like you overprocess your hair with relaxer, like you use it, leave it in for too long. You're relaxing it too much. You're relaxing and coloring in the same day, but you're not a professional that knows how to do that properly. Okay, all of these different things are things that cause you to break apart too many of the disulfide bonds in your hair. That's why something like OLAPLEX is amazing, because OLAPLEX's molecule goes in and begins to rebuild the molecules before they break. Not the molecules, the bond. The molecule that OLAPLEX is goes into the hair shaft and rebuilds bonds, like basically put a whole bunch of bonds on there. OLAPLEX go in there like, here girl, sprinkle dinkle, a whole bunch of bonds and stuff on your head. So that way, whenever your bonds start breaking apart, if they break, if too many of them break, OLAPLEX like, don't even worry about it because we got them bonds, sprinkle dinkle right there. So that's what OLAPLEX is about. And other bond reconstructors too. OLAPLEX is just my favorite. Holler at your girl. Links in the description box below. As it pertains to black women and black women's hair being weakest, I also need you to take into account the patterns and things that we have. Most black women have extremely weak hair shafts. And why is that? It's not that your hair shaft is weak because
God made you so fragile and oh my God, you touch a black girl's hair and it's gonna break.
no, that's not the thing. It's this. Most black women think that combing their hair is a bad thing. So the hair has no memory. There's no routine. It is a myth that the hair is dead once it comes out of the follicle. It is the nerve within the hair shaft that is dead. Because if the nerves were still alive, getting a trim and getting regular maintenance on your ends would be excruciating pain. It will feel the same way that it would feel if I was to take some shears to the face. And I don't think you want to do that. So God is very smart. Once your hair like leaves out of the skin, then those nerves die off. But can you please explain to me how something that is completely irrelevant as it pertains to life, right? Something that is lifeless to the point that it doesn't require your attention. Can you please explain to me how it can respond to hot and cold temperatures? Yeah, I don't need you to explain it. I'm gonna explain it in a video coming really soon. Like I said, most black women have a scalp with weak memory. And what do I mean by that? The first thing, there is something that is called skin cell turnover. Links in the description box below. More coming on that in part 2 of this video. There are dead skin cells that need to be removed from the scalp every 28 days. And the only way that you can really do that is actually combing and brushing your hair closer to the scalp, right? And most black women think that combing the hair is actually bad. Why? Because our hair is weak. I need you guys to understand that every 28 days, the old dead skin cells that are on the scalp, they need to fall off so that the new skin cells, along with the new hair that is coming up through the follicle, so it can come up. But just imagine, if you are constantly coating the hair with thick comedogenic oils or just a bunch of oils and butters and all of this different stuff, especially your coconut oil, then those layers are never able to leave. And if those layers are never able to get off, you have a combination of layers and layers of dead skin plus whatever oils and butters you're coating the scalp with. So your scalp and your follicles oxygen flow is very minimum to non-existent, and that is why most black women have a slower hair growth cycle and why most black women's hair follicle is weaker. What would happen to your skin if your body stopped retaining the right amount of oxygen? Your skin will start to change colors, and then your body would get weaker and weaker and weaker, and your organs will begin to shut down. Well, guess what? The reason that most black women fit into that category of black hair being the weakest or curly hair being the weakest is because the hair shaft is constantly put in all of these situations to where it's constantly weakened. So it's very easy for it to break because there's no routine. It's always wet and the follicle is always being suffocated, so there's no oxygen flow, and with no oxygen flow you are not at maximum strength. So it makes the hair naturally weaker, not because black hair is weaker, not because curly hair is weaker, right? And then other textures are less prone to breakage. Why? Because they're shampooing the hair on a regular basis, they're combing the hair on a daily basis. Somebody that's round brushing or blow drying their hair every day or every 2 days does scientific brushing without even knowing it. All right, so these are all things that you guys need to think about, because it's not necessarily that black hair is weakest. And what I need y'all to do is stop just believing everything at face value. That's why on my channel I'm always giving you the science, so you can know the science and you don't have to take what somebody else says about you or about your hair shaft and about your follicle at face value, because you understand the science of the human body. Black woman, I am here to remind you of who you are, because you are not the weakest. Your hair is not the weakest. You require more of a routine and a pattern, okay? That's simply it, and that is all. First things first, I need you to detox from the inside out. So many times when it comes to hair care, and most black women do not want to hear this. When I was standing behind the chair, women used to get so mad about this because you want me to tell you some magic pill, give you some magic pill, where at the end of the day, the first thing you need to do is cleanse the body of anything that can be causing your body to move slower than it's supposed to be moving. All right, so detox the body from the inside out. Number 2, dead skin removal and exfoliation, right? So in the description box below, you can there's a link to my Amazon store for my favorite scalp exfoliators, right? Just add scalp exfoliation to your routine. Once you set up your routine, and if you need help setting up a routine, then make sure you check the link in the description box below and join my 7-day challenge and check out the testimonials from other people who've already taken the 7-day challenge and who's turned their whole entire hair growth journey around. All right, the next thing that is just also a part of number 2 is scientific brushing. You want to make sure that you make scientific brushing a part of your everyday routine. So the same way you brush your teeth, you need to be brushing your hair. Period, point blank. I don't care what anybody is talking about. And if you guys need more detailed information on what scientific brushing is, the exact scientific origin of scientific brushing, how to do it, what tools to use, a breakdown of what oils and butters you should be using through this journey, and so many other things. This isn't just a journal that is going to have little spaces for you to write in. No, we're having prompts tools that start at the very beginning of this ebook, so you can really start your hair growth journey over from the inside out, right? So $18, check it out. Links left in the description box below, you guys, because this ebook will break down to you exactly what scientific brushing is and how you can use scientific brushing to get your entire hair growth journey back on track. And then number 3, learn the science of your body. You need to know your porosity, which you can figure out what your porosity is by clicking the link in the description box below. There will be a little button. It's like oh, find out your porosity right here. And then once you click that button, it's not gonna ask you for an email or anything, boo. All you gotta do is click the button, and then you will get a PDF straight to your phone, your computer, whatever device you are on. And it's like, it's dusty and God is watching you. Like, why wouldn't you subscribe to my website if I'm giving you something for free? That's dusty, like it is. Don't ask God for stuff when people giving you stuff and you're not giving them back stuff. But anyway, in my next video, not only will we be talking about scalp psoriasis, but I am going to give you a solution to your scalp psoriasis, and I'm also going to be giving you some information straight from the dermatologist that made this product to begin with. And guess what? Not only are we going to go into scalp psoriasis, but I'm going to check it out and see if it can help with a couple of other things too. So make sure that if you're not doing so already, you are following me, you are subscribed to this channel with the post notifications on, Sugarfoot. And if you think your post notifications on, there's a possibility that them bad boys been turned off or that they not on. So go back in there, click the button just to double check and to see is they on, they good, they on. And then after you check, leave me a comment below and be like, girl, they on, girl.